This is it. You see it. You see it there at half mast. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the economy, and this is it. PlayPS5 is here to stimulate the economy. Your economy, baby. PlayPSVR PS5 is here to stimulate you. Adam, I want to talk about the PlayStation 5. Do you want to talk about that with me?
The thing is, I do want to talk to you about the PS5 because if you're listening, you're like, what's going on? Who are these chumps? All I want to know is info about the PS5. Well, let me tell you, folks, right now, we're going to tell you all about the PS5. Our lives revolve around the PS5. I was born just yesterday. I have come out of the PlayStation womb. And if you want information on PS5, let me tell you what. We got info up to date. We've got games. Well, we will have games. Reviews. We have so much information about the PlayStation 5 that we have more info than Michael Jackson had Welch's fruit snacks in his pocket. And that's a whole lot of info, son. So I am excited. My name is Adam. Alex is my co-host here. He is leading us through a discussion for episode 1 of Play PS5, the podcast where we centralize everything about our lives about the PS5. Alex, I'm ready to dive in, dude, because there's so much to uncover. Like, the future is now, man.
Yeah. So here's the thing, when the PS5 comes out, yeah, we're excited. There's going to be games to review. There's going to be games to preview. We're going to be talking about trailers and launch dates and impressions. But here's the big thing. Before it comes out, we get the hype, man. I love the hype. I'm here for the PlayStation 5 hype. You remember how it felt before the PSVR came out? We're sitting at Best Buy trying to get our heads inside one of them grubby little headsets. The PlayStation 4 is coming out. You're trying to, what's that controller going to look like? What's it going to feel like, man? What kind of games are going to be coming out for that thing? It just feels so good. And then the day comes, and it's just like an explosion right out from your core, from your zipper of excitement. All that to say, I'm pumped for the PlayStation 5 whenever I can get it. I want to know every little morsel, every little detail leading up into the launch date, Adam.
That's right. So here's what we're going to do here, folks. We know you're ready to learn some more about PS5. This episode, we are going to cover everything that we know about the PS5 in a rather superficial manner, of course, because we don't want the podcast to be 6 hours long. But in later episodes, we're going to be diving into and reviewing games, covering news, have developer and fan interviews, talk about sales. That's what a podcast typically is going to sound like. And if you're curious about the format, Alex and I also run another podcast called PlayPSVR, the podcast. So we began in PlayStation in virtual reality. And believe it or not, it was, Jay Bratt, one of our good buddies, showed us an article that named PlayPSVR as the number 4 virtual reality podcast in the world. That's some tough titties, Alex.
Yeah, I don't know what the ranking is because clearly we should have been number 1. If it's based off of Twitter followers, yeah, whatever. If it's based off of listens, sure, whatever. If it's based off of like how many people got their aunties and uncles signed on to listen to the Play PSVR podcast, my auntie is sitting here right now texting me saying, when's the next episode going to drop? We're number 1 right there, baby. And that makes us podcast number 1 through the whole world, not just virtual reality. Talking about Michelle Obama just dropped a podcast. My auntie's not listening to that.
She's not. It's also interesting how she's with you since she's over here on the couch with me. Anyhow, we have chosen to move on because the future is now. We love PSVR. We'll continue to put information and podcasts out for it. But right now, I want to focus on PSV or PS5, baby. So if we keep saying PSVR, that's why. We're very used to saying Play PSVR, not Play PS5. But the future's now. We must follow. We've got to do it for you, the people. So let's get going, Alex. Tell me what your gamer juice is, a juice you will be drinking while gaming and or for tonight podcasting.
Yeah, for the new listeners to the show, I go to the Come and Go. It's a convenience store with beautiful.
It's KUM. We're not perverts.
Yeah, it's a beautiful name. I take my daughter to the Come and Go, and I let her pick me out a drink. She picked out the Blue Raz Bang right here. Let's get it. The Blue Raz Bang.
Oh,
Potent brain and body fuel. This looks like it's going to really mess me up tonight. So I got to wake up early, got a long drive ahead of me. Maybe this will just keep me up through the night, and I'll double down and get one in the morning. Let's see how it goes. Blue Raz sounds terrible as a drink.
you kidding me? Sounds good. Sounds like the Rococo Bang.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Adam, what do you got for your gamer juice today?
Okay, so since we are opening a new page in history with, I don't know if this is the first PS5 specific podcast. Regardless, it's one I'm very excited for. So I chose my favorite drink in this whole wide world. It is called Ale 8. It is a ginger ale established in 1926. I adore this stuff. It is like crack to me. You could also pronounce it a late one if you didn't want to call it Ale 8. Either way, it's absolutely wonderful. I've had it many a time. Like I said, it's my favorite drink. So cheers to you, buddy. Here we go.
Is this the PlayStation 8 podcast? Did I miss some kind of information? You're drinking things with 8?
Oh, it's good. Oh, you're right. It's a 5-1. That's what it is.
Thank you. The Ale 5 plus 3.
Ale 5 soft drink. Okay, we got our gamer juices out of the way. Let's get going because we've got a lot to cover, and these people want to know about this system, Alex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we got a lot of information we want to talk about. And Adam and I were discussing, we want to make predictions for this, but we want to make it interesting. We want to have some stakes at this. So we're going to have a little segment called the over-under segment. And what's going to happen is we're going to make some kind of a monetary prediction. One of us will pick a number that we think will be closest to the answer, and the other one gets to choose to go over or under. Now, when we get that information, finally, we're going to find out who was right and who was wrong. And the loser has a punishment. They're going to have to eat something absolutely terrible. We have an idea, but it's to be decided. But you'll get to see them eat it live on the PlayPS5 podcast. Maybe puke a little bit. I know that's what you guys want to see. I know that gets the viewers. So, Adam, just as an example, how many times am I going to say bitch in the first 10 episodes of PlayPS5, the podcast?
Oh, I thought you wanted to know how many biddies you were going to get, not just say.
Oh, how many do you think I'm going to get, Adam?
Yeah. Well, no, you got to pick the number over
okay,
under.
I'm going to set the line at, just like people DMing me on Twitter. That's what we're counting. PlayPSVR had a lot of them. I'm going to say
we got the babes.
Within the first 10 episodes, I'm going to say I get 10 of them.
Oh, no way, you're
episode.
Too ugly. You're too unless we share this joint account and they see my face, that is definitely an under.
So you're
count
doing
me
the
down
under.
For under.
So
under 10.
I say, and Adam says under. All right. That's how it goes. And we'll see when we get the result after 10 episodes.
Here's the thing,
crow
Alex,
or some other kind of roadkill.
And here's what you're missing. Most ladies, and those listeners can correct me if you'd like, but most ladies are like your mom. She likes the 3x9,
I don't know. I don't know what that is at all.
Your mother, she likes the 3-inch credit card and the 9-inch, well, Anyhow, the big boy, let's dive into this. When is the release date for the PlayStation 5? We're all dying to know. Unfortunately, we don't exactly know. So that's, I know, a big ball buster right off the bat. But what we do know is that it is slated for the fourth quarter. So that's, October through December. Most people know of that. And so, Alex, are you thinking here, because there aren't even any live pre-orders yet. They supposedly are saying that the pre-orders are going to come soon. And there's, Sony executives are saying that they would have ample heads up for the pre-orders. That way it's not just one day you look online and boom, there they are. But what are you thinking about this release date here? I mean, I'm thinking maybe a pre-Christmas release date. That way, maybe Black Friday. I mean, there's a lot of options in the fourth quarter that they could choose. What are you thinking here?
So I'll give you my answer. It's going to be my over-under. But it's going to be the line for the over-under. But I'll give you my logic here. Now, Sony has an issue meeting the demand, and they don't want to miss the boat on this one because they have a strong competitor with the Xbox Series X. People are hyped. I mean, people don't know Halo Infinite just got announced to be free to play. That's a huge feather in Microsoft's cap. Sony can't let that slide. Now, Sony does not want to have too few PlayStation 5s in production at release, so they want to give themselves time, a buffer, to ramp up production before Christmas. So I think it's definitely going to be before Christmas. I think it's definitely going to be before Black Friday. How early do they want this to be? How soon do they want this to be? Did a little bit of research real quick here. PlayStation 3 was launched November 11th, 2006. PlayStation 4 was launched November 15th, 2013. Ooh. So that leads me to believe, what day of the week was that? Oh my goodness, I got to jump down to November. That leads me to believe that we are going to see a launch. You know, Sony likes their Tuesdays. We are going to see a launch of November 10th, 2020. Adam, that's the line. Are you going over or under on November?
Dude, that's some inside research. I like that very much.
November 10th, 2020. What, you going sooner or later?
Why a Tuesday? That's so random.
All the PlayStation games come out on Tuesdays, man. November 10th, 2020. What are you
that
thinking?
means I'm going to have to take a day off work to freaking camp outside of Best Buy.
You got to take 2 days off work. One Monday to get your spot and Tuesday to get the game. And then Wednesday play games. Just take the whole week off, man.
Take the whole week off.
No one wants to see you at work, Adam. You going over or under, man? November 10th, 2020. Sooner or later?
I'm going to say it's going to be later.
Oh, how much later are you thinking? All you got to say is later.
I don't think much later, but if I had to pick the two, I'm gonna say later. I mean, it's just pretty much a 50-50 at that point because it sounds like they're gonna actually release it on November 10th, in which it would be a tie at that point. But okay, so that's our guess. And here's the thing: what are you personally going to do in order to get one, Alex? Like, so you got to decide. Are you going to camp out? Are you just going to try to get that pre-order online? Who are you going to trust? I mean, obviously Target and GameStop and Amazon and all these companies are going to have these pre-orders available. What's your thinking going into this?
So I live in an area that's not so densely populated. So when something comes out, when there's a good deal, I usually have a decent chance of finding it. I'm going to put that to my advantage. I'm going to reach out to areas that are maybe an hour or two away that have even less of a dense population. Talk about GameStops in areas where they have, I don't know, maybe 1,000, 2,000 people living there. Somehow they got a GameStop there because it happens. I'm going to reach out to them and say, what do you got? What do you got for me? And toward that end, I might be camping out in the middle of nowhere in a harsh winter in the northern upper Midwest. It's going to be dangerous, but everybody knows danger is my middle name. So that's what I'm prepared to do. Camp out in certain sub-zero temperatures to make sure I get one of these bad boys. We could talk about what else I'm going to do to get this, but that later. But that's what I'm prepared to do, man. Camp out. Kind of. It's how you're going to finance it. We'll talk about when we get to price. What about you, Adam? What's your strategy to get one of these things?
See, this is what I'm most afraid of, honestly, because I don't really know, to be honest, unless I just don't know. I don't even know who I would trust. I've bought very few things that have had the hype that this has. Like, I've stayed for outside Toys R Us for 3 hours for that stupid SNES Mini. That's honestly probably the biggest item that had the biggest hype. So I don't have much experience with this. And if you're listening and you do have some experience, we would absolutely love for you to share it. And we'll maybe put some, contact info in the bottom, because I really want this bad boy. I'm getting a PS5. It's just, am I going to have to murder someone, or how many people am I going to have to murder?
Let me give you a strategy, Adam, that's going to work for you. All right. This worked for me when I was in a more densely populated area to get a Nintendo Wii. Remember, those were kind of hard to come by at launch. People think about going to GameStop, the brick and mortar store. They think about going to Targets and stuff like that. What they don't think about is that malls close at like 9 o'clock at night. They shut their doors, but the video game stores will come and unlock the doors to that mall and let you come in and get the game at a pre-order. So what you need to do is find a mall that is going to have a midnight release for these consoles. You need to go there. When I went to get a Nintendo Wii, they had a surplus of Nintendo Wiis because nobody thought to go to the mall to get inside and get one. Everybody went to the brick and mortar. So that's my advice to you.
But what happens if they don't have midnight releases?
You can ask them ahead of time. If they don't, then you're SOL, man. You got to find something else to do. Find some sugar mama.
Dude, F me. Okay, so that's we don't know the release date. We have our over under. November 10th is the date we're eyeing. And then, again, we just hope to God we get one. If you have suggestions or if you've done some of these in the past and you know and have things to share with us or other listeners, let us know. Next, I want to talk about this DualSense controller because I'm a big fan of this. I like the design of it. I like the things it can do. And I'm excited to talk about it because I think it's one of the more cutting edge things the PS5 has going for it, along with many others. But I want you to kind of describe to me Astro's Playroom. So we are very familiar with Astrobot. It seems like the PS4, like this little Astrobot buddy seems to be a recurring theme in showcasing some of the newer technologies available with the system or the controllers. So what are you thinking that they're going to do to highlight those things that are special about this controller that's just new technology?
Yeah, so I watched Jeff Keighley's hands-on impressions for the DualSense controller, kind of showcasing the advanced technology. There wasn't much there, wasn't much to glean. A lot of stuff of him describing, oh, this is what it feels like. So it really wasn't fun to watch. But what you did get to see was gameplay footage of Astro's Playroom. So Astro from Astrobot. You know, Astrobot Rescue Mission wasn't the first time we saw Astro. They used him to showcase the PlayStation camera when it came out for the PlayStation 4. So he's kind of their go-to guy, their go-to mascot to showcase new technology. So I'm not surprised that we're going to see a Playroom dedicated to him to showcase the DualSense. Now, Astro's Playroom comes with the system, so we're all going to have that game to play with. Apparently, it's a multi-hour game that you can play, so that's good, but I'm pretty sure it's going to feel demo-ish. Although, you collect coins, and it looked like what they were playing, there's not very many coins in the game, although at one point I saw on the trailer they had 8,000 coins, which leads me to believe that there's a decent amount of gameplay there. Sorry, this bang is coming up as burps.
I'm gonna platinum it. First thing. That's the first thing I'm gonna do in PlayStation 5.
First game you're gonna platinum.
Astro's Playroom.
Yeah. So it's like a platform. It looks just like Astrobot, except on PlayStation 5 and a flat screen. But they have things that are kind of interesting with the controller. The controller feels tense, apparently. When you're like walking on a beach, you can kind of feel that the ground you're walking on feels different. Now, I don't know how it necessarily feels tense. Maybe the joysticks push back a little bit. I'm not exactly sure. That'd be kind of interesting, but it might be kind of annoying. I hope you can adjust that because I don't want to deal with that sometimes. The shoulder buttons, there was a situation where Astro gets into a robot suit called the frog suit, and the way he moves is he has to reach down and grab the ground and push off of it to move up in the air. Apparently, the shoulder buttons kind of harden or tense up as you reach over and grab the ground, so you get a feeling of actually gripping onto something. So that's kind of interesting that you have this, like, they call it, I think, adaptive feedback, where it's going to get more tense as you're pressing the shoulder buttons. I can get behind that. You know, any kind of haptic feedback greatly enhances the immersion. I get worried because it sounds kind of complicated. One, it sounds complicated. Two, it sounds like it's going to be hard to come up with creative ways to utilize it. And three, what am I going to do when my controller breaks? And I don't have that, and I need that for some reason. It's just going to piss me off. The controller seems to use audio a lot. They were excited about that. Jeff Keighley kept talking about, oh, it really sounds like he's walking and saying if I get up on the controller, which I could not care less about that. They've been doing that since the Nintendo Wii, and I got tired of it after I had that freaking fairy and Zelda go, listen, like 800th time in Twilight Princess. I don't want my controller to talk. I'm sitting here trying to play with headphones on. Don't need to be waking up my baby with a controller. Also, you can blow into the controller, apparently, to spin a windmill. This isn't really that cool. This was on the Nintendo DS. I did it in WarioWare. I don't care about that either.
Here's the thing. Here's where you're wrong. One, I don't care if it's been done before. That's cool. Two, I want to cover some of this stuff because what you've just mentioned, it may not mean much to you, but it excites the crap. You were at half mast earlier. I'm at full mast right now, if you know what I mean. And so haptic feedback, that is awesome. The technical definition is the use of touch to communicate with users. Dude, touch me till I'm blue in the face.
Yeah, man, I had haptic feedback with your mom.
Oh, I see.
I touch her. Keep going. Sorry.
Well, she's a mute. So how do you feel about that?
Great. She feels great too.
Even better. Okay. So the haptic feedback, I think that is awesome. The fact that it feels tense. I mean, again, until you actually feel that, I don't really know if that is going to become annoying, but just the idea of it, I think, is not only revolutionary, but I think can really enhance gameplay. The adaptive triggers, that's something I've never actually utilized in a game system before that I think, but essentially the developers are able to tweak the resistance of the triggers within their games. So then if you're firing a bow and arrow or shooting a different gun, it makes it feel a little more realistic, and it makes each weapon a different sensation. That I think is awesome. And again, I think you are right in the fact that how many third-party developers, small studios are going to be able to utilize these? Maybe not many.
The thing is, with the sorry to interrupt. The thing with the adaptive triggers, think about the buggiest, messiest game you played, like Ranch Planet or something. Now think about they mess up their code and your controller's trigger gets stuck on like full resistance, and now you can't play the game anymore because it's just stuck. It isn't reading right. There's some glitch making the controller, the shoulders just lock up.
I mean, it's not going to completely lock.
Might.
Yeah, I doubt it. Right?
It just sounds like another mode of failure that's going to frustrate me in games. Some people are going to do it right, and it's going to be fun, but I don't think the fun that you'll have doing that is going to outweigh just, I don't know, the simplicity that you have with a normal controller.
But you got to start somewhere. So if it fails somewhat here, the next gen, they should have gotten to the point where everyone now knows how to use it. They've worked out the kinks. I mean, yeah, you got to start somewhere. And I still think
just like the Xbox Kinect, right?
I don't even know what that is.
Exactly.
I'm not an Xbox girl.
Exactly. It's like the motion camera that they had on Xbox. Well, next generation is going to be better. They had it for the Xbox One, and nobody wanted it. They removed it from Xbox One because it was such a turd.
Okay, so also the controller has a motion sensor. Pretty cool.
That's cool.
There is a create button. So instead of the share button that we're now used to with the PS4, we have a create button. I'm assuming does the same thing, but they named it differently. I'm sure there's other interface and things you can do with the videos and pictures you take. A built-in microphone and integrated speaker. That's pretty cool. If you are streaming and you don't have the whole OBS set up and you don't have everything like a big fancy YouTuber, then having that microphone in the controller is going to be a lot better than at trying to use your PS4 camera that may be, 5 feet away. So I think that could be cool. And then, of course, there's a headset jack, which, of course, they need. So, and in 2020, now this is completely speculative. I don't know if this is going to be legit or used or when it would use, whatever. But in February of 2020, Sony filed a patent that for like a controller accessory that monitors biofeedback, like heart rate and sweat for VR games. And that again, we came from a PS4 or PSVR podcast, and I love me some VR. That I'm 1.5 masked right now. That would be insane. I don't know how that would work, and that seems way too high tech, but holy crap, would that be awesome.
So they had that. They also had that for the Nintendo Wii. It was like a thing that goes in your finger. It's like a pulse oximeter. Nobody used it. It was for old people to convince them to buy a Wii to see if they're about to die.
Yeah, but I feel like this has got to be different, right?
You would hope so, but they're not going to use it, I bet. Adam, I'm being pessimistic about this controller. I just want a simple controller.
Dude, yeah, I don't know what your deal is. Get the F off, buddy.
I just want a simple controller that I can play these games on. Here's the thing, Adam. I'm scared about everything on the controller that isn't also going to be on the Xbox or a PC, because I know how this goes, man. I see how it goes. I saw it happen with the six axis. I seen it happen with the DualShock with that ratty touchpad they have.
Dude, F you. I like the touchpad.
Yeah, you just want to touch anything. These features, they seem cool. You have Astro's Playroom. They never get messed with again because third-party developers are not going to waste their time. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is not going to waste its time trying to figure out these quirky things to put on the controller. when they need to have it also work on the Xbox and the PC as well, unless Sony throws extra money at them. Sony's not going to throw extra money at every single freaking game. So I just don't see how this stuff is actually going to be worth all the effort they're putting into it. Yeah, it's a nice sales gimmick, but I bet you after a year there's going to be the single sense or the Sense 5 or something like that where you don't have to waste your time with these silly gimmicks, Adam.
Well, here's my rebuttal to that. Again, I've already kind of talked about how some of these features I feel like very well may be a stepping stone. And here is how I view that. So there is a game in PlayStation Virtual Reality. It's called Stifled. One of my favorite games. Essentially, you are in an all-black environment, and the way to see what is around you is you have to make noise. Now, in the game, you can pick up rocks or paint cans or something and throw them. And when anything makes noise, it kind of, the
makes
motion and the echoes of the noise kind of light up the surrounding area and you can see. But another thing you can do is actually talk inside the headset or scream. Obviously, the louder you talk or scream, the farther the noise goes and the more you can see. That, I mean, I have never personally played a game that used that. Definitely not in virtual reality before that game. And it was never done. That small studio tried it, figured out, boom, that is awesome. And then others can now utilize that technology, which is incredible. And it was a small studio. I think at Gatai Games, super small. Like it was maybe 3 people. And so now one of these things, maybe it will be a third party that uses an adaptive trigger in a unique way that some of the big boys will be like, wow, that's actually a real good idea. That's clever. And in the future, we then have better games because one of the smaller guys are willing to try it out.
How many other games have you seen that utilize that kind of function?
Like Stifled?
Yeah.
There was definitely one other one.
It's called Blind. What did you think about that game?
Oh,
you hated it.
Blind, but it was more the plot, not because of the utilization of that technique.
That was cool. I give it to you. That was cool and Stifled, but is it worth building a whole console around, especially if it's going to add to the cost of the console and everything altogether? Think about how much it's going to suck when your DualSense breaks and you got to go to GameStop and you got to pay $500 for a new controller, the damn thing. Look at how much these PlayStation Move controllers cost. $100 for 2 of them. It's ridiculous. Imagine how much a DualSense is going to cost.
Why do you think it's going to get damaged? I have been rough on my DualShock.
Because I'm good on my DualShock 4 because it's simple. But you see like things like the Xbox Elite controller that people pay like $150 for, and those buttons break all the time, and they have a total recall of them and stuff. That you got to keep it simple, stupid. Make it basic. Make it very basic. Nintendo tried to do fancy stuff with their Switch controllers, and those things are drifting all the time now. It's a big pain in the ass. Sony made the DualShock 4. Nobody needs to use a touchpad, and they are good, man. They're good. It works well because it keeps it simple.
I want them to attempt to create something great, not just be simple. And dullards like you can plug in your little simple NES 3-button controller and you can use that.
Yeah, I'd love it.
Okay. Enough of the controller. I'm excited for it. You're stupid and you're not. That's pretty much what we're getting out of this. Third thing, 3D audio. So this is essentially going to create a more immersive experience to the whole gaming experience by providing all the games, or not all the games, but the games that include that with sounds that seemingly come from all around the player's location. That, I think, is pretty neat. Do you have any experience with that?
Yeah, we experienced it every single time we played VR. I don't know why they're acting like this is something new. 3D audio is...
If you haven't been blessed by the gift that is VR, people probably don't know about this.
Here's the thing. Most people probably don't have some fancy sound bar with 2 speakers that's going to utilize this 3D audio. You're going to have to buy a freaking headset, Sony-specific headset. It's going to be Bluetooth. It's going to run out of batteries. Batteries are going to be janky. Or you're not going to be able to play VR with it on. Or you're going to get interference with your controller because the controller is Bluetooth. I see it happen with my PlayStation 4 already. I'm being pessimistic. I don't care about 3D audio. Put this stuff in my PSVR headset. I don't care. It's not going to fix things better than better graphics are, all right? I want ray tracing. I don't want 3D audio. I want 3D audio. I don't care about it, though. I care about it. I just don't hype it on me.
Should I just get another co-host?
Well, we got better
Are
stuff
you even
coming.
excited for it at all?
You picked out the stupidest features of the PlayStation 5.
No, I did not. These are awesome. Here's the thing. You're right. In VR, we have 3D audio, and it is a game effing changer. Now, you're right. When Cerny had that very over-the-top presentation that went into like the nitty-gritty of how the 3D audio worked, and it was based on head size and these headphones, and like it was a whole thing that was way too technical. But if they could find a way to, even if it's not fully there, I think someone who hasn't experienced it before will be very pleasantly surprised, and it will enhance their gaming experience. Because when, again, in virtual reality, almost every game, it was a game changer. It made Resident Evil 7 so much scarier when you could just hear the slightest creak out in, the distance. And you were like, oh no, is that one of those monsters? Is that the people in the house? Is that just a cricket? Like, it really adds so much suspense and anticipation. I think that is incredible. If they can make it work, that would be incredible. I mean, I have my doubts on how it's going to work in a flat version too, but why not have some type of optimism, you freaking negative Nancy and Debbie Downer?
Because they haven't given me any damn thing to hang my hat on, man. 3D audio. All you need is 2 speakers to do 3D audio. This isn't something new. All right. Also, how the hell are you going to pull this off with a flat screen? You're changing your perspective on the screen. The audio is always going to be coming from there. I know somebody's over here. It sounds like they're next to me on my right. I don't give a shit. Listen, here's what I play my games like this half the time because I got to listen to see if my baby's crying or something like that. Somebody trying to break into my house. All right. I don't need this 3D audio. You know what pisses me off? When I'm listening to a song and I'm trying to jam to a song. And I think this is a good song, but it sounds kind of weird. And then I put my headphone all the way on. And it turns out there's a whole half of the song in my other ear that I haven't heard. What if I'm playing with fireworks and I go deaf in this ear? Do I not get the gaming experience everybody else does? I don't care about the 3D audio.
Dude, you have some friggin' issues, bro.
It's just blue raz, man. It's got me all jived up.
I don't understand you because you have seen the wonder that 3D audio can have on a gaming experience, and you were still...
I don't trust it in a flat game, and PlayStation 5 has only shown us flatness. Although,
I mean, even if it's not all the way, say it's only 40% of the way, that I would rather have that than none.
It doesn't make sense in a flat game, is what I'm saying.
But if they figure it out, I don't know how it's done, but if they figure it out, it would be incredible.
Oh, it sounds like he's further away. Yeah, it's called quiet.
No, I hate you.
Oh, it sounds like he's closer to me. Yeah, it's louder.
You way to go. We made it, 20 minutes in the freaking podcast. I already want to punch you in the throat.
Yeah,
okay,
bring it.
Next.
You'll be able to know where I am because you'll hear the 3D audio.
Blah, blah. So I'm a big fan of aesthetics, and I really like hardware. Like, I'm a big fan of hardware. Like, hard is where it's at. And so when they came out with the whole presentation, talked about some of the games, and they showed us the hardware. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, surely you've freaking seen the console already. So primarily black and white. It's got a blue light emanating on top. It seems, from everything we have seen, very large. Obviously, we haven't seen it ourselves, but it does look like it's one of the larger consoles that we've seen. And I also saw pictures. This isn't official, but on Twitter, there were pictures where it looked like the white side panels could be snapped off. And that would indicate that there's some personalization of the aesthetics, that you could purchase other side panels and, just personalize it, which I think is kind of neat because the white, although it looks kind of good, the whole thing, it looks a little odd to me. To be honest, although I was a huge fan I wanted to be a huge fan of the design and I was excited to see it, it kind of, for me personally, left a little to be desired. It looked like maybe they tried too hard, in my opinion. The controller I like. I have no issues with the controller, but the console itself, I like the Xbox's console design better. It's very simple. It's a box. It looks modern. This just looks like maybe, they just tried too hard, or maybe not enough. It's really weird. I don't know. I think it's odd looking. Thankfully, this isn't going to make or break the PS5, and ultimately it's not going to matter. But what were your thoughts of the actual console design, Alex?
So overall, I like the console design. I think it looks sleek and cool and modern and futuristic. The panels kind of get me scared. I can already see some kid trying to sell his PlayStation 5 on Facebook Marketplace for like $600 full price, and the panels are like snapped off. So you're going to get like a PlayStation 5 with no panels. That's what you're going to see. You're going to be no cords, no panels, and a broken DualSense trying to sell it for $500. I can already see that happening. I'm going to lose my panel day one. I'm going to be pissed off. I'm going to try to buy a replacement panel, and Sony's going to be like, we need $50 for that. I'm going to be so mad. So I can already see that. Aside from that, assuming everything works good, I like the design. Here's what I think Sony was thinking with the design. Here's what I think Xbox is thinking too. You know, since Sony came out and they were like, it's the PlayStation. Look at it. It's the PlayStation 2. And you can stand it up on its freaking side. That happened. And
That's
then
cool.
After that happened, every single console that came out, Sony was like, PlayStation 3, it's big as a freaking house. You can stand it on its side. And Xbox 360 was like, you can stand ours on its side too. And Nintendo was like, you can stand ours on its side. And here's what's happening. Finally, Xbox and PlayStation are both competing now, and they're saying, F you. You're not stacking a console on top of ours. Our console is going to be the only console in your entertainment center. You only have room for one of these bad boys. And Sony took it up another notch, and they said, you don't even have room for your TV. Guess what? Your TV's going to be on the floor. TV's going to be on the wall because this PlayStation 5 is freaking huge, and it's taking up your whole entertainment center. You can't fit it in any of these little boxes down underneath the TV. None of this IKEA stuff. You need a whole freaking dinner table to house this bad boy because this is the center of your life now. That's what they're doing. They're making a big power play. This isn't just a video game console. They want this to be a centerpiece of your living room. They want you're trying to sell your house, trying to spruce it up, make it look nice, put some art around everywhere, make yourself feel cultured. They want you to put the PlayStation 5 there on the coffee table. So when Mrs. Smith comes over to your house for the open house and she's like, I like your artistic choices for what you have in the center of the living room. We can all talk about this. And she tries to put her coffee mug on there. And you're like, no, that's my PlayStation 5. Don't put, and she spills it. You get a nice brown coffee stain all over that white panel. And so you peel that panel off because you're like, I'll just buy another one from Sony. And Sony's like, that's going to be $50.
Okay. So do you actually believe that the design is actually that big for a reason, or do you think it's actually the technical specs and what's necessary to house the power that it has?
I think the design is bigger with the panels and stuff extending out. That is them making a power play to try to be like, this is your living room. All right. I think that's it. Now, of course, they can also shade that and hide that as, oh, we need the room for breathability and stuff. We don't want it to be too loud, but they know what they're doing. And they got these extra chunks of plastic hanging out. They got it curvy on the top, so you can't put anything on top of it. They're making it difficult to put things around because they want it to be by itself. They want it isolated, man.
That's interesting. I never thought about that. I don't know if you're right, but that is definitely something to think about. So next thing I want to cover quickly before we go into our break is the specs. So for the most part, we're going to kind of breeze through these in a way, just tell you what they are, kind of maybe what they mean. And then in later podcasts coming closer to the date of the PS5 launch, we're going to have individual episodes that do little deeper dives into each one of these aspects. And then in that episode, we'll talk even further about what these specs mean and how that's going to affect your gaming experience. But for now, again, we don't want a huge, long podcast. So the CPU is made from the AMD third generation Ryzen line, 8 cores of 7 nanometer Zen 2 micro architecture. If that doesn't mean a whole lot to you, join the club. I know it's real powerful, and it includes a unit, again, for 3D audio that I know Alex doesn't care about, and he hates it because he's a butthole and he can't get on board with the greatness that will be the PS5.
I already have that CPU in my computer. Granted, it was like $160, but that CPU is it's a little bit old news. But CPU is not really what matters nowadays. They leverage other architecture. But I literally have that CPU in my computer right now, or something very similar. 3rd generation Ryzen. Yeah, got it, baby.
Yeah, okay. You got one thing, and it was $150. Listen to all this other garbage we got. GPU that has hardware accelerated ray tracing. There you go. You happy now, butthole? All you wanted was ray tracing and speed. Are you happy?
I literally have a hardware accelerated ray tracing GPU. Granted, that costs like $400. So, okay, we're up to PlayStation 5 now. But I want next gen, baby. I want next gen, all right? So
I hate you. You are the absolute worst. The GPU also has 10.3 teraflops of power. How about that?
I just got one bigaflop.
Yeah, you got floppy, all right. Anyhow, the CPU we've already kind of talked about. GPU again, the 10 teraflops. There was a whole thing about Xbox, who had more teraflops, all that garbage. We'll again cover that later. The memory interface, we got 16 gigs. Bandwidth is 448 gigabytes per second. Internal storage, 825 gigabyte SSD, and that's custom.
That's one of the most disappointing things. My PlayStation 4 has a terabyte on it, and that thing is full. Of course, I don't play any of the games on it, but I know these games, they're going to be coming out with a lot more textures. The games are going to be so much bigger and we're looking at the same generation size hardware. It makes me nervous because I feel like I'm very easily going to be filling up 800 gigabytes with like 3 games if they have 4K
delete
textures.
your games. I play a game when I finish it and I know I'm not going to play it again, at least in the very near future, I delete it.
Adam, I know your crappy internet. You need to get as many games on your hard drive as you can because it's going to take you about a month to download these games.
Dude, you suck. You are so dumb.
I couldn't hear you. Your internet was breaking up.
You keep games on there that you will never play in a million years.
I want to.
Yeah, you want to, but you won't.
But I got to play crap like Kingdom Hearts. Move on.
You got to come back to reality. The I/O throughput, 5.5 gigabytes per second raw or 8 to 9 gigabytes per second compressed. There's expandable storage. The external storage is USB, HDD support, and then an optical drive that's 4K Blu-ray. So the thing I'm excited for here is that it has a specialized solid state drive. And in one of the presentations, they showed that, what was that? Spider-Man Ivan Morales or something? What's his name?
Miles Morales. Yeah.
Miles Morales. And so they had a load time for PS4 Pro and then a kind of dev kit for the PS5. The PS4 Pro, which again, I consider to be a pretty top of the notch, still a very relevant game system, 15-second load time for fast travel, which, I mean, I'm used to it. Resident Evil 7 had a bunch of load. Skyrim has load times. Like, I'm used to it. I'm not happy about it, but that's the way it is. With this dev kit, which was a low-speed version, supposedly, of the system, it only took 0.8 seconds. Tell me you're not excited about that, big boy.
So I'm excited about that. I'm excited that we're going to have bigger environments that can load fast. We're talking about a racing game where you're going fast and you're not getting all this pop-in and stuff because you have this giant environment already loaded into the game or being loaded in faster than you can recognize. I'm excited about that. However, I feel, again, like this is going to be one of those things that gets underutilized or developers can't take advantage of. I mean, I just saw the Astros Playroom game, and that had a freaking loading screen that took more than 0.8 seconds. I mean, I know I sound snotty being like, oh, it took 5 seconds, but don't talk to me about how you're going to have such small load times when I see you sitting there, pick Astro, and then he flies up into the sky, and then there's just like a sparkling screen for 3 seconds before the game starts. You can tell me it reduces load times. Don't be like, oh, it's instantaneous. All this silly stuff we have to use to do where we like make this fake animation where you're walking through a wall just so there's more time to load. You're not going to have to do that anymore. Yeah, you're going to do it. Don't lie to me. Listen, this load time obfuscation stuff, you should have been done with load times back in the GameCube when Metroid Prime had 0 load times, all right? They should have learned this by now. I'm excited that SSD is going to make things load quickly, but don't try to act like this is some kind of new game-changing thing unless you show me something real. Show me something real about this game-changing stuff. I don't care about its ability to load last-generation content, all right? My Super Nintendo loads pretty quickly, too. Great. It's an old gen. I want new tech, man.
Welcome to PlayPS5 Sucks, the podcast, because Alex, you are the most negative I'm waiting for you to actually be excited about something.
I'm excited about the games, man. I'm excited about the real
next
stuff.
Segment. Okay, so there will be at least 5 gigabytes per second speed compared to the PS4's 100. And that can't be right. So I messed something up.
You probably meant like 100 megabytes per second.
Yeah, it's 100 megabytes. Because like that makes no sense. I accidentally put
like
G instead of an M. My bad. But there are 5 core goals for the PS5 and its new SSD, according to Cerny. 1, boot the game in a second. Do you think that's achievable?
Sure. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Oh, you don't seem very.
There's not much to have. There's not much to do when you boot the game. You boot the game, you're navigating through menus, and it can
Well,
spend its
it's
time
faster
loading.
than what we got now. So if
Yeah, I think they can
literally
do it.
needs
I
a
said it's
second,
achievable. Go.
Yeah, let's do it. No load screens.
I already saw it in the Astros Playland. So,
But that's also not the full game.
it's their showcase game. I don't think they're going to get away with it. Let's do an over under. How many load screens am I going to see on the first game I play?
It depends on how long the game is. That's an unfair.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, F you. Okay.
In the first 30 minutes of the first game I play, how many identifiable load screens am I going to see? I'll set the line at 3.
In the first how long?
30 minutes of playing a game.
Oh, F yeah, definitely lower, you fool. You fool.
You think it's going to be less than 3?
YouTuber. Okay, and so 3 other goals that they have. They want to design it with freedom. They want more game on disk and on SSD. And then they want the patch installs to go away. So any of those you care about before we break?
The patch installs, I hate that. That's the worst. And I really don't know how they're going to do it. But I hate the patch installs. It's awful when I want to play a game and I got to sit there and wait an hour for it to download and then install. It takes more to install than it takes to download it. I'm excited about that getting fixed. Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm sorry. Most of my experience in PlayStation gaming is PSVR, but Firewall, good luck. More like sit there and watch it update for 24 hours.
More like fire crawl across the screen, the load bar, because it takes so long.
Exactly. It sucks. Okay, so that is the first segment, the inaugural segment of Play PS5, the podcast. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about price. We've got more over-under action coming at you hard. We are then going to talk about the games, maybe something Alex will actually be interested in, and then a little something about a Sony PlayStation 5 TV. I know. Good stuff coming up, folks. Stick with us.
Adam, wake up. Welcome back to Play PS5, the podcast, Adam. It's segment 2. We got more details to talk about. Adam, you were upset last segment because I wasn't getting hyped enough about the PlayStation 5. Is that correct?
It is if you found out that your auntie was over here on my couch.
I found out, and that's what set the tone for the entire podcast. So I hope she left. She told me she's not going to talk to you anymore, and I want to take her at face value. Do not ruin the illusion for me, Adam. I want to think that she's a pure woman. And so what we're going to do instead is talk about something else. Change the subject, Adam. PlayStation 5, we got to get into the price on this bad boy. What do you know about the price? What can you tell me about the price? And then we're going to do it over-under and see how it works for you.
So I don't know too much. I do know the fact that obviously we do not know the price and that it's not uber clear on what it's going to be. Some Sony executives have said that obviously they are competing in the space and they've been very hushed. They don't want to discuss the price at this time. Obviously they are trying to compete with Xbox, and I think that is it's a very tense situation that they got over there. And there's one thing that was very interesting, and I don't know what to think about this, and I'm interested to hear what you say. So Amazon UK had a listing that was related to the PS5. It went live, and the listing for the console was marked at, I think it was pretty much £600, which is about $750 US. And so that listing was almost immediately taken down. Of course, people constantly monitor, so someone got a screenshot of it. And so that is intriguing that showed up on an Amazon page, was about what I think would be a reasonable price point. Of course, PlayStation and Amazon said that was an error and not to read into it. Of course, that's what they're going to say, whether it's true or not. So that intrigues me. What do you think there is anything in that little tidbit of that error listing Or do you think it really is just as much, like they said, an error and someone just trying to screw with all of us fans?
I mean, I understand why Amazon would be messing around trying to guess what the price is. We're going to go back to history here. The PlayStation 4 launched at $399, and it's been a very successful console. Had a decently successful launch, given that there wasn't that much stuff at launch in terms of software, but the hardware was fine. PlayStation 3 had a pretty bad launch, mostly because it cost $599 at launch. Now, looking at the European prices, what was it, 599 pounds?
Yes.
They try to keep things matched numerically. From what I can remember, the PlayStation 4 was like 350 pounds, and then in America it was $399. So they try to keep the numbers looking the same. So I would guess then that if we have 599 pounds, then that would mean in America it'd probably be about 649 would be the price we're looking at for the launch, which sounds a bit crazy. It's the highest, most expensive console Sony's released. Take into account inflation and stuff like that, and it kind of makes a little bit more sense. However, the most recent expensive console that came out that I can point to would be the Xbox One X. It was the most powerful console when it was launched. That came out with a launch price of $499. And that so we know that people are willing to pay $499 for a video game console, right? So that makes me think that Sony, not wanting to lose too much money, not wanting to go as crazy as the $599 PlayStation 3 fiasco that happened, I think Sony's going to take a decent hit on their console, lose a little bit of money, but make it up on the software side. Adam, I'm going to set the over-under line at $549.99 USD. How much? What you going to take over or under on that? What do you think?
Well, one thing we also somehow have yet to talk about is the fact that there is a digital version and then a version that actually has a disc drive.
Oh, crap. That makes it.
And so that obviously is going to make a pretty big difference. I would say a difference of at least $100.
At least, yeah. That's rough because what I think Sony wants to do, they want to come out with advertisement ability. They want to advertise that they have a console that costs the same as Microsoft's cheap console. So I bet they're going to have that low digital version. That's going to come out at I want to say $449.
Ooh, okay.
$450.
Is that your over under?
No, we're setting the line for the PS5 disc version, so the most expensive version you can get. I'm going to set the line at $549, $550, Adam. You're going to go over or under? $549.99, over or under?
I think I'm going to go over. I really cannot see them. I mean, $600 is a lot. Do not get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I cannot see. There's so much hype with it. It's so powerful. Also, I think, I can't. I just assume that there is. I'm buying a $600 console. That's just what I'm assuming, and I can't imagine them selling something for $400. I can't do it. Here's even digital. Like I can't imagine it. If they do, that's wonderful. I would love to be wrong.
They need to do everything in their power to keep the number 6 out of that price tag, or keep the number 7 out of that price tag. So definitely not $699, like what you've heard people talking about. Keep the number 7 out of that price tag. They'd be very smart to keep the number 6 out of that price tag. $599 can get confused down to $500. People are like, it's about $500, whatever. So $599's got to be the most they could ask for. But I agree with you. I kind of expect that's what we're going to see. $549 is kind of wishful thinking on my part. So you're going to pick the over on our $549. Adam, I just want to mention a prediction that I'm going to have. A couple predictions here. Sony is banking on people having some of that stimulus check money coming in. You know, it's getting passed through Congress now, and then people are going to get hit with that stimulus check a couple months from now, and they're going to be like, I just got like $1,200 large in my bank account. Better drop half of that on a PlayStation 5. So they're kind of They got the price worked out to that. You got a lot of people who maybe aren't so great with their money should be using their money for wiser things. Going to drop it all on the PlayStation 5. That's going to be what they're doing. That's my first prediction. My second prediction, Adam, the landscape of gaming and how we game is changing. We're all talking about subscription services now. You got Stadia, you got Xbox Game Pass, and Sony they've dabbled in the PlayStation Now business. Here's what I think Sony is going to do. This is my prediction. Sony is going to release the console on a subscription service, meaning you're not going to have to drop $600 right off the bat. What you are going to do is you are going to sign on with Sony. You're going to pay $30 a month for 3 years, and you are going to get the PlayStation 5 disc version. You are going to get PlayStation Plus throughout that time, and you're going to get some kind of, Game Pass, PlayStation Now equivalent. And that is how that's how they're going to get people to get the PlayStation 5, is they're going to be paying a subscription service. You got $30 a month for 3 years. What does that work out to? 360 times 3, that's over $1,000 that Sony's going to guarantee from people. People are willing to pay $30 a month, I think. That's a very reasonable price. They're going to get, $1,200 out of people, where normally they'd probably get one console purchase and lose money on that and then not make anything back. That's my prediction. We're going to see $30 a month for 3 years, Sony launching a subscription service for their console. What do you think, Adam? Would you do that?
I would definitely not do that. That is the biggest freaking ripoff I've ever seen in my life. But maybe you're right. There's no way it could be 30. I mean, if anyone can do simple math, they realize they're getting bent over the table. But, maybe people don't. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they don't know.
It's way easier for a kid to steal their mom's credit card and write off a $30 purchase every month than it is for them to steal $700 from their parents and get away with it.
It doesn't make financial sense. I know people don't always make decisions based on that. It's an interesting theory you have here. I don't know.
If Sony doesn't do it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to buy a PlayStation 5. I'm going to rent it out to some college kids for $30 a month. I'm going to be raking in the cash, man.
There you go. You'll buy a second one, then it will become a whole thing.
It'll be my babies. My babies.
Okay, so price, again, we're not sure. I think that's definitely going to be an interesting. Is there a price point in which you will not purchase it? Okay, assume we don't have this podcast. Say you were like we pretty much have to get it. We can't have a podcast without having a PS5. Say we didn't have the podcast. Was there going to be a price that you were like, no, I'm not paying it?
This is the first time I've been a big boy with a big boy job and a video game console has come out. And I feel like it behooves me to buy a console at launch. Am I happy that it's going to be the most expensive console that there has ever been? No. Am I still going to go out of my way to make sure I get this badass console right out of the gate? Yes. So $599, I'm there. $649, I'm there. $699, I'm not telling my wife, but I'm there. Anything higher than $699, and I'm in trouble. But I'm still there, but I'm a big time trouble. I need to sell a lot of lemonade at my lemonade stand. We'll be calling Sony up saying I need to do this $30 a month deal that you got going that you're not telling people about, but I know you got going back in the back doors that let me get on your websites and log on to that Rent-A-Center. $699 is going to be that's that hard limit where I got to start thinking about what
I don't think it could be that much.
What am I doing with my life buying this $700 console? You can get a decent, you can get a Toyota Camry for that. That'll drive your family around. You can make money off that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What's your price, Adam? Cheap ass Adam. Adam, I know you're not going to buy the console unless somebody gives it to you for free. Only way you're playing the console is if I buy it and you can somehow log into my internet and use it.
That's right. Honestly, yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if if it were over 1,000. There's some stuff I'm very cheap on, but this isn't one of them. The big things, I am not cheap. And so I'm going to buy this. It could be $800. I'm going to buy it.
Oof. You bring up a really good point, Adam, because here's what's going to happen. If it's $600, I'm all aboard. $700 and I'm thinking like, what's going on here? This is kind of expensive, but it's just like a glorified toy for men. $800, $900, and I'm thinking like, this is an investment. Like this is some high class stuff. Like I deserve this. So you're right. As it gets more expensive, I reach that justification realm where I'm trying to talk myself into it. $700, I can't do it. But $800, $900, $1,000, I'm just kind of like, yeah, I deserve this. I need this. All right. It's an investment.
And if you think about the days the weeks of entertainment, the months of entertainment this is going to provide. I mean, I played The Last of Us Part 2 for what? I don't know, 30 hours. Played Final Fantasy remake for 40 hours? That is so much entertainment from one console. Of course, I know I had to buy the games, but like, that's a lot. And if you consider that, okay, it's a robust system, you're going to have it for 8 years? It's starting to be like, okay, $100 a year for the system for that much entertainment isn't that bad. It's all on your mindset.
I'm going to be pissed when there's a PlayStation 5 Pro coming out 2 years from now.
Okay, that would suck.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Like that, it's not going to not happen. So just be ready for that. But no, I want to try to maximize the release of the PlayStation 5. I might take some days off work, send my infant daughter to daycare before she should probably go to daycare, just so I can get some hardcore game time and get my money's worth out of that. You know what I mean?
Speaking of game time, let's talk about what games we're going to be playing once we hopefully get this PS5. And so there's a list of games that are for sure coming to the PS5. How about we talk very quickly about the exclusives? Again, we're going to have a separate podcast before launch, and we're going to cover these games more in depth. But now we just kind of wanted to highlight what is coming out. So we'll mention the exclusives first, and then we'll go through all of the other games that are said to be coming, but they're just not specifically exclusives. So you mentioned Astro's Playroom. We got that.
So hold on. I want to make one prediction about Astro's Playroom. All right.
Okay.
Astro's Playroom is coming out. It's a technology showcase. Sony has not said a damn thing about PlayStation VR and the PlayStation 5. Here is my prediction, Adam. I watched the Astro's Playroom demo. There's nothing that fancy or technical in it aside from the controller technology. Here's my prediction. Astro's Playroom will be PSVR compatible at launch. Put the money in the bank on that, all right?
If it's not, I think someone should get ransacked.
Yeah. It's going to be PSVR compatible. You can put on the headset, you're going to be there playing Astrobot. It's going to be a sequel to Astrobot. That's my prediction. But yeah, Astro's Playroom, it comes free. It's free. It's a pack-in game. We're all going to be playing it. We're all going to get tired of it. But we're going to be happy it's there. It's what you're going to play. It's going to be like Resogun when the PlayStation 4 came out, that cheap free game that you get and you play it nonstop because you're too broke after buying this new console to drop $70 on an actual game.
Okay, so it's settled. Sony, this is what's going to happen. Astro's Playroom is going to be VR compatible. Otherwise, Alex is going to find your auntie and give her the old 3x4. Okay, next, we got Bug Snacks, which was one of the very weird and strange, trailer in the presentation. Demon Souls.
Well, I want to talk about Bug Snacks, Adam.
Well, we have a whole other podcast talking about the games. Make it quick.
All right. Bug Snacks, people that made Octodad. We should play Octodad as a hype up for this. Bug Snacks looks interesting. Reminds me of Cubivore for the GameCube, if you know that. I'm disappointed because it doesn't really seem like a technical showpiece. Like, why talk about this game as a launch title? But I'm glad they're making some weirdo games. So there we go, Bug Snacks.
Weirdo games. We got Demon Souls.
Yes, hype. I'm buying this. Whatever. Charge $100. It's there. I'm there.
We got Horizon Forbidden West.
Okay, that's not a launch game, but again,
it's not launch. But I'm just saying this is exclusives.
Yeah, we're gonna play a lead up to that. It looks so good. Looks so good.
Kena, Bridge of Spirits.
This looked like their answer to Zelda. That also looked very spectacular. That's the game I'm most excited about, except for maybe Demon Souls. But I've played Demon Souls. This is the newest game I'm most excited about. Yeah.
The beloved Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is the new addition.
Oh, crap, that's going to be real good too. That is the game that showcased the SSD where you're jumping from level to level instantaneously. Those guys did that right. Now, I'm not going to play that game as my first game at the launch of the PlayStation 5 because I don't want to lose the over-under bet on load screens because I know Insomniac's going to pull off some sweet-ass invisible load screens, but that looks good. Yeah. Yep.
Returnal.
I remember loving that game, the demo of that game, or what that game was supposed to be. I do not know anything about it.
Sackboy, A Big Adventure.
That game did not look great. It looked like Super Mario 3D Land. Did not look that impressive. It'll probably be good and decent and fine. Just maybe it'll be in VR. That would be great. If it's Media Molecule, they just did Dreams VR. Maybe this will be in VR. That'd be good.
And finally, for the last of the exclusives that we know are coming, Spider-Man Miles Morales.
So that's another Insomniac game. Are they making 2 launch titles? Is Ratchet
Well,
and
this
Clank
isn't
a
launch titles. This is just exclusives.
Just the announced exclusives?
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably – I haven't played Spider-Man. I should, but it's supposed to be fantastic. So I imagine that's going to be amazing. That's probably going to be me buying that right off the bat.
Okay. So those are the exclusives. I'm just going to run down the list of all the games that are to be coming. They're not, exclusives, but they are going to be on the PS5.
I keep my mouth shut. Yep.
That's it. We got Assassin's Creed Valhalla. We got Battlefield 6, Chivalry 2, Chorus, Control, Chris Tales? I don't know how you say that. Cyberpunk 2077. Signy, All Guns Blazing. Deathloop. Destiny 2. Destruction All-Stars. Dirt 5. Dying Light 2. Far Cry 6. FIFA 21. Fortnite. Ghostwire Tokyo. Godfall. Gods and Monsters. Goodbye Volcano High. What the heck is that? Gothic Remake, Gran Turismo 7, GTA 5, Heavenly Bodies, Hitman Uno Dos Tres, Hitman 3, Hyperscape, In Sound Mind, Jet the Far Shore, Little Devil Inside, Madden 21, Maquette, however you say that, Marvel's Avengers, Microman, Metal Hellsinger, Moonray, NBA 2K21. What the Nth Infinity Reborn? That seems like I love that title. I don't know what it's about, but that's cool. Observer System Redux, Oddworld Soulstorm, Outriders, Party Crash Simulator, Planet Coaster, Pragmata, Project Athia, Psy Hotel, Quantum Error, Rainbow Six Quarantine and Siege, Recompile, Redo, Enhanced Edition, Resident Evil 8 Village, Scarlet Nexus, Solar Ash, Soulborn, Stray, The Lord of the Rings Golems, The Pathless, The Sims 5, Tribes of Midgard, Ultimate Fishing Simulator 2, Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines 2 and Swansong, Warframe, Watch Dogs Legion, Werewolf, The Apocalypse Earthblood, Worms Rumble, and finally WRC9. So that is a butt ton of games that we know for sure are coming to the PS5. You've kind of already mentioned it, Alex. If you had to pick one, Demon Souls or Horizon, or which one of these games is a day one purchase, assuming they're all available? I know they're not going to be, but assuming they are, there's one game that you can only buy one game and play one game on the PS5 right off the bat. What's it going to be?
It's a difficult call because Kena looks really good and I'm very intrigued by it, but I know for a fact that Demon Souls is almost a perfect game and I've always wanted to revisit it and I haven't had the time to. So it would be a perfect opportunity for me to revisit Demon Souls in the remake. It's going to be Demon Souls for sure. Adam, how about you?
So for me, I've never played Horizon, the first one, and I don't even know anything about it. I don't know what type of game it is or anything, but when I saw in the presentation the trailer for Horizon Forbidden West, again, I had no backstory. I didn't know Horizon was even a game before I saw this trailer. I looked at it, I was like, holy crap. Whoever the protagonist is, in the trailer shows that she is crossing a wide variety of different environments. She's swimming. Everything looked absolutely incredible. The gameplay looked interactive, engaging, and pretty mesmerizing, the little bit they showed. Obviously, graphically, it's going to be one of the most, if not the most beautiful game that I've seen just based on the trailer. That game had me shook. I was like, take my money. I have never seen a game that I wanted to play as bad as that. And then the other one, so that has more of the appeal of like it's very pretty, and I feel like it's going to demonstrate what the PS5 is going to do well, but I don't really know game-wise if I'm going to like the game. Whereas Returnal had that suspicious. You could tell that, like, obviously it's going to play. It's an exclusive. It's going to play to the PS5 strengths, but also it was that one trailer, if you remember, where it was like a lady in a spacesuit and it was survival. And you didn't really know what was going on, but she was in harm's way, and it was a survivor story, and there was suspense and anticipation even in just the trailer. So it made me think that the plot is going to be very involved, and there's going to be some plot twists, and it's just going to have a very involved and very good plot for something that I'm looking at. It showed, I feel like, maybe a little more gameplay, or at least gameplay that I was like, okay, I could get on board with that. Kind of like Resident Evil type of gameplay. And it's definitely between those two for me.
I think Horizon is going to be your winner then, Adam. If I had to pick one for you to like, I would probably pick Horizon Forbidden West.
Well, unfortunately, that's the one game that I know for certain is not a launch title.
Not a launch title. There we go. What a great question. We should give a shout out, Adam, that there's going to be, it's going to be backwards compatible with a handful of PlayStation 4 games. Now, we've heard this before where they're like, oh, yeah, PlayStation 4 is going to have like backwards compatibility for PS3, or PS3 is going to have backwards compatibility with PS2. Then only certain games work. I don't really like that. I hate that promise. So it makes me feel like it's going to be something I can't really utilize too much. But they seem to say that you're going to have, about the top 100 PS4 games released are going to be backwards compatible. I hope that's not 7 different iterations of Madden. But if I could play my PlayStation 4 games for the most part on the PS5, that'd be great, especially the absurd amount of digital games I have. That would be nice. Of course, I want all the PSVR games to be on there. And apparently there's going to be some slight enhancement, boost mode and stuff like that. That'll be good. But Adam, it's time for our last over-under. I want to know, Adam, so how many PlayStation 5 only games are going to be playable at launch? Not necessarily exclusive, like it might be an Xbox Series X game, but I'm talking about games that you can't play on the PlayStation 4. I want PlayStation 5 exclusive games, or PlayStation 5 like next generation games. How many of these are going to be playable at launch? So just a little background research. Do you want to set the line for this one, or do you want to do over and under?
Tell me what your research is.
My research. The PlayStation 3 had about 17 launch titles. That's 17 games that were available to play that were PlayStation 3 games. The PS4, it had about 20 launch titles, 21 launch titles, I think, that were PlayStation 4 games, 20 of them at launch. So what I guess more or less what I'm asking is, you walk into GameStop day one, they got a stack of games you can buy for your flashy, fresh PlayStation 5. How many is it going to be? PlayStation 3 was 17. PlayStation 4 was about 21, 22. What are you thinking, Adam?
So this is definitely tough, because on one hand, I'm like, well, they're going to want to show this off. There's obviously going to be more than that. But on another hand, I feel like, as you mentioned before, the games are a lot more involved. They're going to be larger. They're going to be more. They're just going to be, in general, like larger, both space-wise, but also time-wise. I think there are a lot of features with the PS5 and the controller and things that people may try to utilize, but takes time, and they got to learn how to do the stuff. So that may eliminate some. I'm going to set the line. I'll set the line at, I'll say 21. Same as the PS4.
21. So we're saying 20. I walk into GameStop day one, and there's 21 games in a PlayStation 5 box that I can buy.
Sure. Yeah.
21 games in a PlayStation 5 box that I can buy. Adam, I'm going to take the under on that, because here's what I'm expecting. We got Cyberpunk 2077 coming out, and they're thinking, oh, you just buy it for PlayStation 4. When the PlayStation 5 comes out, you can play it on that too. That's going to be in a PlayStation 4 box. We got Valhalla coming out. They want that to be cross-gen as well. We got some of these other games coming out that they, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I think they haven't gotten all their ducks in a row. They need to push out a console. I think also that this whole COVID stuff has delayed a lot of people pushing their games out. I think we're going to see around 15. So I'm going to take the under on that, Adam, the under 21. I wish there was a lot more, but I think we're going to see under 21. physical box games that we can get at GameStop day one.
So do you think there are going to be PS5 sold with a game along with it, other than Astro's Playroom, obviously?
Oh, like you buy a PS5 and then bam, there's a game in there with you?
Uh-huh.
No, there's not going to be a game like there are free-to-play games. That's the way it goes now. Like Warframe is a free-to-play game. But as far as like this is a PlayStation 5 only, you're not going to see that. There might be like Apex Legends. You can play it on the PlayStation 5. Fortnite, you can play it on the PlayStation 5, but there's not going to be some new fancy. It's not like you're going to get Ratchet and Clank for free and you play Ratchet and Clank. It's going to be some cross-gen game that's free to play with microtransactions. That's going to be happening.
Okay, so then what of these, quickly, what do you think, and then not a certain number you have to mention, but which one of these do you think are going to be launch titles?
So I think Miles Morales, Spider-Man Miles Morales is going to be a launch title for sure. Something tells me Kena Bridge of Spirits is going to be a launch title. I have no reason why that's going to be a launch title. I just think it's going to be a launch title. Bugsnax seems simple enough that they could probably get that pushed out at launch. Astro's Playroom for sure. You have to have that. Let me go out on a limb with one of these too. I got to pick one that's gonna be kind of dicey to make a launch title. I should probably know better, but I don't. I think that Marvel's Avengers, the PlayStation 5 version, is going to be a launch title. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think they're going to have a PlayStation 4 version, and I think they're going to have a PlayStation 5 version, and I think they're going to be very different versions. Kind of like when Call of Duty came out, and there was like PlayStation 3 Call of Duty. This is the real deal. And then there's like, and your little brother's got a PlayStation 2 still. We're going to release it for that too. You can play it on the Wii. It's going to be kind of crappy. I think that's what's going to happen. Marvel's Avengers is going to come out. PlayStation 5 is going to be cool, and PlayStation 4 is going to be turd. That's what I think.
Do we know that Ratchet and Clank isn't going to be a launch title?
Man, I want it to be a launch title, and that's why I think it's not going to be a launch title.
See, I think it might be, because that's a big boy that I'm pretty sure people are going to be psyched to play. They already showed it at the demo. Mm-hmm. Seemed to be working well. It seems to be like a game they're showing a lot of.
It's going to be a game that they try to release around Christmas to make it a Christmas game, but I think Insomniac is busting their ass to get that Spider-Man Miles Morales out there.
Yeah, I definitely think Spider-Man is going to be one as well, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so this next thing I want to talk about, our last discussion of the night, I'll let you discuss it because you've done more research, and I did not know this existed, this specific TV, and my mind's kind of blown in more ways than one.
Yeah. Adam, I know you're a big old cheapo. I know you're still playing on like your 720p LCD monitor, Emerson monitor that you got from Fred's in 1999. So Sony wants to help you out with this, Adam. They're giving you a little heads up. Sony has announced a series of ready for PlayStation 5 TVs. They are the first TVs they have ready for PlayStation 5 right on the box. The Sony's X900H 4K HDR full array LED TV, and it starts at $999. They also have the Z8H 8K HDR full array LED, which starts at $5,999. Now, the thing that is interesting about this, I know you're thinking 4K TV, old news. Who cares? I have one already. Adam doesn't have one. He's a big old cheapo. I have a 4K TV. Here's the difference, all right? It's ready for PlayStation 5 because it can display 4K resolution up to 120 frames per second. Now, that's the big thing that PC gamers have been like, we got 144 hertz. That's great. But a big fat ass 4K TV at 120 frames per second, that's a lot of horsepower. If the PlayStation 5 is spitting games out at 4K, 120 frames per second, that's kind of a big deal. And I think $999 is not a terrible price to get a 55-inch TV that can do that kind of resolution at that kind of speed. You got the very low lag input of 7.2 milliseconds, which is great for gaming. Now, that 8K TV, I didn't even know 8K existed yet. I don't even know they make TVs big enough for that. The $6,000 TV, who the hell is buying that? Not even Bill Gates can afford that. Shit. 8K TV, we got super smooth 120 frames per second. However, that's only going to be at 4K still. So the 8K, I guess, is going to be stuck at 60 probably, or maybe even 30. So I don't know why I'd buy that. And it sounds like the PlayStation 5 isn't going to be able to handle 8K at 120 frames per second. So what we're seeing is this next generation, we're going to see 4K at 120 frames per second. That, I'm guessing that's the benchmark. That's what I'm taking away from this news story, Adam. Adam, are you in the market for a new TV? Are you going to buy a new TV finally for the PlayStation 5?
Well, my question to you is, on TV-wise, I'm going to be honest, I don't know what the F's going on. You know, my TV works perfectly fine with what I have now. Most of the time I play virtual reality now anyhow, so it really doesn't even matter what the TV is. But with the PS5, obviously I'm going to have to start playing flat games. And when I do that, the TV very much matters. So I was going to ask you, as like an average Joe like me who doesn't know a ton about TVs, is it worth paying $1,000 when I could get a 4K TV? Still 4K, I could probably get one of those on sale for like $300.
I'll tell you this, Adam. Back in the day, I was playing PlayStation 3, or no, Xbox 360, and my parents just got a new TV that had that super smooth motion business going on, had 120 frames per second, tried to interpolate. They called it the soap opera effect. Now, on TV shows, it looks weird. It looks like a soap opera. On video games, that fast refresh rate made the games pop, made them come out of the screen. It was fantastic. It was amazing. I loved it. So the frames per second seems to make a big difference. So that's why, no, you don't want to go with a cheapo 4K TV. You might not even be able to understand, like it might not even be able to display properly what you're getting out of the PlayStation 5. So I think I was impressed that Sony was releasing a $1,000 TV. It seemed like they probably tried to jack up the price a bit. You might be able to find an off-brand that could do.
Is that not expensive? I think $1,000 for a TV is pretty freaking expensive.
Triple digits seems reasonable for a new top-of-the-line, ready for PlayStation 5 TV. That seems.
What I'm afraid of is that they're like, boom, this PlayStation's coming out. We can milk it. And they upcharged it when really, that's my first thought.
That was,
and someone who doesn't know this stuff, that is my first thought. They're just selling this bullcrap TV, making an extra several $100s because people like me don't friggin' know, and I'm stupid, and I'm like, oh, I need a new TV too. Let me just give Sony $2,000 of my dollars.
That was my next point, was it when the PlayStation 3 came out, Sony releases 3D. That was a big thing. And they released the PlayStation TV, 3D TV for the PlayStation 3, and it looked like it was going to be cool. It was going to be expensive. It was like kind of a little bit bigger than a computer monitor. Thing ended up being a piece of crap. The screen was bad quality. I think it broke easy. It didn't have the highest resolution that you need. There was like some really glaring defects in terms of refresh rate, something like that. So I am worried about buying a Sony TV designed around a video game console. My advice to you, Adam, is maybe look for like a TCL. I bet you can get something good and comparable for like $600. Maybe wait a little bit, see what Costco's got going on Black Friday. But you do, here's what I'd say. You do want that 4K, and you do want that 120 frames per second. That's what you're going to be gunning for. I bet you can find an off-brand TV that can do it at a decent rate for a little bit cheaper. All right?
All right.
I'll be on the lookout for it for you, Adam, and for the listeners too.
That's good stuff.
And for me.
Okay. Well, guys, we thank you so much for listening to the inaugural episode of Play PS5, the podcast. Future episodes will include us covering each aspect that we talked about tonight in greater detail until either more PS5 news comes out or until, obviously, the system launches. So we cannot wait for the next generation, and we want you to be with us. And no, we don't want just you. Bring your mom. Bring your aunt. We know that they like the 3x9 too. For Alex, I'm Adam. And remember, don't play with yourself. Play PS5, the podcast.